Welcome back, everyone, to another presentation up to the time. Today, we'll be in Krita, and we'll be focusing on learning the rectangular tool. So this is an exercise here that you see in front of me that I gave my students. Now let's get into this tool and learn how this tool works. So let's read down here, how to use, right? I'm going to read. This tool can be used to paint rectangles or create rectangle shapes on a vector layer. Click and hold to indicate one corner of the rectangle, drag the opposite corner, and release the button. There's no default hotkey for switching to rectangle. If you hold the Shift key while drawing, a square will be drawn instead of a rectangle. Hold the Ctrl key will change the way the rectangle is constructed. Normally, the first mouse click indicates one corner and the second click the opposite. With the Ctrl key, the initial mouse position indicates the center of the rectangle, and the final mouse position indicates a corner. You can press the Alt key while still keeping down to move the rectangle to a different location. So let us see what tools we would need for this exercise. We would need a rectangle tool, the line tool, the fill tool, and the text tool. Here are a few tips. Draw the geometric shapes using the rectangular tool. Use a brush size under 5 pixels. And fill the shapes using a different color scheme of 4 different colors of your choice. Now I have selected a palette of 6 colors for this one. I might reduce it to 4 colors. So let's get started with this exercise now. So I'm here in Krita now, and I'm going to start by going here to the start new file. You can also press Ctrl N. That's the shortcut key that will get you in. Just pressed it. And let us now adjust the width and height of our page. First thing, I'm coming over here to put this to inches for the width and inches for the height. I'm going to be using 11.50, 11 inches wide, and 8.5 inches high. The create here. I'll press the create rather than pressing C. Now, we are here in Krita. What's the first thing I need to do? I need to go and bring in my image that I'm referencing. Once I bring in my reference image, I'll set it up and I would make it a ghost image. So how do I do that? I go over here to this icon which says reference image tools, or reference images tools, and I click here and then I go over to my tool options. But before I do any of this, let me make sure we are all working on the same page. So I'm going to go to Window and go to Workspace and press Default. This allows me to work on my default workspace, which is right here. And what am I going to insert? I'm going to insert my palette. That's the palette down here. So all I've added to my default space is my palette. Now, let us go over Reference Images tool, click here, Tool Options, and then Add Reference Image by pressing the plus. Okay, now let us look for our reference image. Would be in here. Pattern Making 2. Okay, so just fit my image onto my page and it fits exact. And then I'm going to turn down my opacity. This is very important so that I can see what I'm tracing. I can turn it down to 15. I usually turn it to about 60, 65%, anywhere between 60 and 70. Once I've done that, I click with my mouse into the gray area. And once that is done, it should say this tool only works on a vector layer. You probably want to move. You want the move tool. Now, I don't want the move tool. I just want it to lock that image in the background. Now, I'm not going to start off with my paint layer. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to start off with a vector layer. So I'm going to come here to the plus, but I'm not going to press the plus. I'm going to press the down arrow next to this big plus here, and I'm going to select vector layer. So that's my vector layer right there. Now, as I start this, where do I go from here? Just keep my colors there. Those are the colors. These are the colors that I'm going to be using at the bottom here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are my 8 colors. But let's start enjoying. So I go over to the left while on my vector layer. So I'm on my vector layer and I go to the left and I select the rectangle. Now, 5 things we need to do before we start drawing. The first thing has already been done. The vector layer has been selected. That's 1. The tool that we need, which is the rectangle tool, that's 2. The color that we need, that's the 3rd thing we're going to do. What color do I want this to be? I want this to be a tan color. So I'm going to click here. And this is my tan color. I'm going to select that. And that's the 3rd thing. The 4th thing now was the size. The size, I want mine to be 3 pixels. That's the 4th thing. And then the 5th thing is what instrument, what brush are we going to be using this on? I'm going to be using a basic 5 size brush down here. Okay, so everything is set up. Now I can start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here in this corner up here, and I'm holding. So I've clicked with the left button and I'm dragging across to this bottom corner, and that's it. That's my tan color in, and it doesn't look very effective, and the reason being is because that's why. Remember, we have a ghost layer underneath, so I would just turn down the opacity to about 39, 40 so that we can actually see what we're doing better. So now that is in. Do I need a rim on around that? I think I do. So I'm going to click back here. So I'm on the vector layer and I'm going to do some edits. I'm going to come to my line here, all under tool options. And what am I going to click? I'm going to click the line and press solid color. And let's see what we have here. So we have the line at white and the thickness is 4. Do I want my line to be white? No. I think I'm going to choose a different color. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to choose blue. But I don't want my thickness to be 4. I think 100 is good. 100. So that's my thickness around my rectangle. That's the frame. Again, if I don't like that, I can always come back and change it. But for right now, I'm leaving it at that color. And let's move on. Now, I've just shown you how to use the rectangle tool. Now we're going to use the line tool. So I'm going to come and select the new layer. And I would call this first layer the background frame. So I call this background frame. And how do I change the titles on the layers? I just go over here into my layers panel and double click on the title, and then I'm able to change. Now this one will be called lines. Lines. Now, so I go over to lines. I grab a line here from the line tool. And again, before we draw, we always got to go through the same 5 options. So selected the tool that I'm using. Now I need to select the color that I want to use for this tool. I'm going to select white. White. I'm going to put my lines in white. So I've selected tool 1. I've selected the color 2. The size, I'm going to be using size 3. So the size is 3. 4. What's the brush? The brush that I'm going to be using is the same brush as 4. And then 5, it must be on a vector layer. And we are already on a vector layer. So now I'm ready to draw. So I'm just going to, and if you hold down shift while drawing a line, that makes sure that allows you to draw it in its ortho position, meaning that it would be parallel to the horizontal plane. So now I'm going to move this line because this line isn't in the position I want. So I'm just going to hit down on my arrow. But how did I get to that? I had to select this tool, which is called a transform a layer or a selection. Grab this tool and then just touch the object. And now my lines are in place. Now I'm going to leave that like that. Control Z. I'm going to leave that here, and then I'll send that to the back so that we wouldn't see that. So that's one line in. Now I got an option. I can either select this line and go copy, and then go paste. And what I realize is that I have pasted another line onto the canvas. So instead of me having to draw these lines all over again, I'm just going to simply copy and I'm going to paste. Now there's an exact way that you can paste at the spot that you want rather than it pasting in a random position. Now, how do we do that? Let's go up here and let's look at it. Paste at cursor. So you press Ctrl, Alt, and V. So I'm going to place my cursor there, Ctrl, Alt, V, and look, I have pasted that in place there. So that is very helpful. That means I don't have to move this once I just position my cursor where I want it, Ctrl, Alt, V, and everything is pasted at that point there. That saves me a lot of time. So I'm just going to do that wherever these lines are. And I'll just place it there, Ctrl, Alt, V, and saves a lot of time. So I've inserted all my horizontal lines. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 horizontal lines all placed in. Now they all don't meet. So I'm just extending them. That's what I'm doing now. I wish I could do all these at the same time. Probably there's a way. I know. But if I find that shortcut, I would share with my audience at the next available time. Okay. So it's looking good so far. Let's go back to the the reference image and turn this down and see how this is looking. Okay, this is how it's looking. Looking good so far. Now, let us insert the lines, the vertical lines now. So again, we do the same thing. You go over to the line tool, and we are going to be keeping all the lines on this line layer. So I start here, hold down my shift, and I bring my mouse right down to here. And that's a line. Then what do? I go get my select shape tool, the cursor, select the line, Ctrl C, place my cursor to the next point, Ctrl Alt V, and I just paste it in place. So this shouldn't take too long, seeing that we're using some shortcuts. Ctrl Alt V. And when I say Ctrl Alt V, I mean Ctrl plus Alt plus V. So this is a 3-button command. Control first, then press Alt while holding Control and press V all at the same time. And that's how we paste. That's spacing at the position of your cursor. So now my lines are in both vertically and horizontally. Now I can move on, placing the shapes into this piece of art now. Now let us add a new layer, a new vector layer, and I'm going to call this rectangular shape. Okay, now we are here now. So we go back to the rectangle tool, grab this, and let us start inserting these shapes now. So I'm going to be putting in these big shapes that look like squares. Don't know if they're exact squares, only one way to find out. No, they're not exact squares. They're rectangles. And I'm going to be inserting them. And what color do I want? I want these to be various colors. So I'm just going to probably put them in as one color, and then I'm going to go back and change the color later on. So that's another color. Color looks good. Or you know what? I can go work on what feels good or what's easier to do at this moment. All right. So I've inserted these now, those three. They look good. Those are the three biggest. 1, 2, 3. All right. So let us now get to some other shapes. This shape. So just go for this color. And I just click first with the left and I go to a diagonal opposite. And yeah, just like that. Let's keep this in the same color here. That looks good. 1, 2. Then we got another color. Place this rectangle in right here. One over here. This color. Let's go into this color now. Okay, let's go to another color. And now I'm going to be inserting a square. Now this is very different. So I'm going to come here to this point, this corner, and I can either insert the square like this, or I can hold down Shift, and it tells me when the square is created. Now, then I can also hold Alt after I've created the square. To actually move the square. So I'm holding Alt now, you see that I'm moving the shape. while still constructing the shape. And I release up, and I can also adjust the shape. Now I'm going to confirm by letting go of the left mouse button. And that's how we create the shape, change the location while still creating. So you can do two things at the same time. I can be creating the shape, and I can be changing the location of where it's going to be placed without confirming all at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I like this shape. I'm going to copy it, copy, and I'm going to come here and place my mouse there, and then 3-button paste. Okay, so this paste is from the middle. Always need to remember that. You just adjust this so it fits on there nicely. And I'm going to come back and change that color, or I might leave that color right there. Anyway, I'm going to paste another one down here. Come over by the middle, Control Alt V, and just adjust this. Okay, so these lines I'll make it right down. That's interesting. I'm now recognizing that. Okay, we can move things like that. So I'm pressing Shift to hold while grabbing all of these loose lines that never made it all the way down. All right, now all of my lines go right through my joint. Nope, nope. See some here. 1, 2. Select them by pressing Shift to select multiple things. That's what I've just done. And then I drag all of my lines down. So all my lines go through my drawing from top to bottom and from left to right. Now I'm going to go back onto the shapes layer and continue drawing my shapes. So where was I? Right, I was here, and I needed to put in a different shape. So I'll go for a dark color. We'll just start here, and do something like that. Yeah. Then go to the pointer tool, select the shape, and bring it in slightly so that it fits within the boundary lines. Yeah. This needs to fit within the boundary line. I'm just adjusting small bits. Now, what else do I need to place in here now? I need, okay, so I'm going to go on to another color. Select this color. Oops. Now I didn't select the rectangle tool just now. So I'm going to select it now. Let's do this again. Okay. All right. So you see what we have here? Something that I don't like. I don't like the fact that, right, that's what I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that you could see an outline. I didn't want any outline on my shape. Didn't want any outline at all. So you use this color again. You use it somewhere over here. I don't like that this outline thing is always there. It seems to be locked on outline as a default. Let me adjust my palette so that I can find my colors and know what color do I need. We'll go with this light blue. Oh, just put my figure there. It's not going to really worry me too much because I know how to turn it off. It's just that it's annoying every time I draw. I actually have to turn off the outline. That's what I don't like. Slip that one in here. Yep, there we go again. So 1, 2, 3, I forget. In here. No, these are different colors. Okay. All right. Now let us look back at the reference image and see what can we turn off. Okay, we're soon there. We got a few more to insert and then we should be finished with this. So what you normally do at this stage so that you can see what is in and what needs to be inserted, I would suggest that you turn down the opacity under 20% so that you can actually see what needs to be inserted now at this stage. I would even suggest probably 10% might be best. Now that we can clearly see what needs to be inserted and where. Okay. Let's get going. Same here. Okay. We want to get this right in between here. That looks good. Move this outline. Outline is terrible. This one. Yeah, but I still don't want that. The idea is to try not to get two colors next to each other. That's the idea. So these two colors are too close. I'm going to change that to the, where should it be? Put it that way. Yeah, put it that way. Now put this one down here that way also. I mean, these things are subject to change, at this stage. It's not going to remain like this. If I can see a better way of doing it by expressing these shapes to create an appealing pattern. Yeah, leave it there. How many more shapes to go? I think one more shape here. 1, 2, 2 more shapes. You know what? I would actually use this shape, this color. Rectangle tool, don't forget that. Yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more to go, and that would be I think that should be this blue. So let's go. And okay. No. Yeah. No. Yeah, I think I don't want that white to there. No, I don't want white there because white is already here. You know, I take this blue. Take that blue. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Pretty. Um, I actually want to hide the white lines behind the frame. That's why I did that. Let's go back to the image now and take this off. Let's have a look. All right. I want to hide this. I want these white lines to be, no, I can't put them under there. So these white lines are going to be, I don't want to see these white lines. That's what I'm trying to get away from. Pretty much this is finished. I somehow don't think that the background image is as sharp as it should be. So I'm going to adjust this background image, this background color, I should say. Let's put it like, the darker the blue, the better. I'm starting to realize that. Yeah, the darker the blue, the better. So what about the frame? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this brings a sharper contrast. I like this. I can deal with this. So now let's create a new vector layer. What about if I were to grab this and do that? Yep, I know that would work. Yep. So I'm actually hiding the white lines by creating a rectangle right here. And that is what I wanted. So it's now perfect. Okay. I think we got everything we wanted. Yeah, I'll leave it with that. Leave it like that. So this brings us to the end of this demonstration. What did we do today? We explored the rectangle tool, and I can show you how we did that. Here's the rectangle tool. It must be done on a vector layer. It must be used on a vector layer. You can click in any spot on the screen and hold. You must hold. And to activate the rectangle, you need to go over to the opposite diagonal corner like that, and you get your shape. If you want to, you can hold down Shift, and that will give you a direct square. And if you want, you can also hold Alt while having Shift held, or you can actually let go of Shift and hold Alt, and that allows you to position your square, right? And if you're drawing and you want to move while drawing, you just touch Alt, and whatever stage you are at while you're drawing, Alt just kicks in, and that allows you to move your shape. All right, Ctrl Z to go back. Okay. So this brings us to the end of this tutorial, the rectangular tool. I hope everyone learned something from this. It was a short exercise. Practice, practice, and explore more. This brings us to the end of this presentation, demonstration tutorial. Please like, subscribe, and share this content with others out there. I'll try to get back to Krita so that I create more Krita tutorials. Let me just share with you my students' work, what they did last year for this project. Some really cool, interesting colors and combinations that I thought that you would be interested in seeing. So please enjoy the presentation of my students' work. I am out.